Questions for reflection. As we continue in our first readings at Holy Mass to follow the reign of King Solomon, his fame has spread beyond Israel. In fact, leaders of surrounding nations, such as the Queen of Sheba, have heard of his wisdom. Sheba was a kingdom in southwestern Arabia, and she wants to see for herself, and she does. Notice her reaction. She affirms that the God of Israel is the true God. Here are her words addressed to King Solomon, and I quote, "Blessed be Yahweh your God, who has shown you his favor by setting you on the throne of Israel. Because of Yahweh's everlasting love for Israel, he has made you king to administer law and justice." Scripture says she presented the king with 120 talents of gold and great quantities of spices and precious stones. No such wealth of spices ever came again as those which the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. End quote. As Christian believers, we need to understand that the witness of our way of life may be the most important witness we give. Before they were called Christians in Antioch, see Acts 11:26, the early followers of Jesus Christ were often referred to as the Way. The Apostle Paul, in recounting his own conversion, speaks of having persecuted this way. That's Acts 22. And that was prior to his encounter with the risen Lord on the road to Damascus. This expression, the Way, reveals a profoundly important aspect of the understanding of the early Christians. They believed and proclaimed that the Christian faith was to be expressed in a new way of living. It still is. Our responsorial psalm today also calls for action. David sings, "Commit your destiny to Yahweh, be confident in him, and he will act, making your uprightness clear as daylight, and the justice of your cause as the noon." Have we committed our destiny to the Lord? If not, today is the day to do so. Our gospel text from St. Mark reveals the very core of Christian moral teaching. It speaks of our choices coming from the heart. The heart in the biblical sense is the place from which we make our choices, the seat of our moral personality, says the Catholic Catechism. In its explanation of the morality of human acts, the Catechism offers a sobering insight concerning a wrong exercise of freedom, and I quote, "Mortal sin is a radical possibility of human freedom, as is love itself." End quote. It properly insists that authentic human freedom can't be realized in decisions made against God and against what is good because it's patterned on God's freedom, and I quote, "Patterned on God's freedom, man's freedom is not negated by his obedience to the divine law. Indeed, only through this obedience does it abide in the truth and conform to human dignity." And this is clearly stated by the Council. And I quote, "Human dignity requires man to act through conscious and free choice, as motivated and prompted personally from within, and not through blind internal impulse or merely external pressure. Man achieves such dignity when he frees himself from all subservience to his feelings, and in a free choice of the good, pursues his own end by effectively and assiduously marshaling the appropriate means." End quote. The New Testament is filled with examples of the connection between what we choose and who we become. We become adulterers when we look at a woman with lust. That's Matthew 5:28. What comes out of our heart, and the heart is the biblical center where freedom is exercised and human choices are made and character is formed through choice. It's what makes us clean or unclean. That's Mark 7:14-23. In all of this, freedom has consequences. The capacity to make choices is constitutive of our human person. It reflects an aspect of the image of God present within us. And the fathers of the Second Vatican Council wrote in their document on the mission of the Church that authentic freedom is an outstanding manifestation of the divine image within man. So here's the question. What are we choosing? What have we set our hearts upon? And who are we becoming?